Would help if the microphone was nearer. Oh, hello, hello. Hi, art and music. Hi, and hello. Thought that Auntie Patience was there earlier. We gross. Sorry, I did put this in a place that was not very obvious. Whew. Probably if your paint's in the refrigerator. Hey, Papa Thomas. It's always a bomb. Hi, 23. You're not late. I just started because I didn't locate my this audio weird. Amy, hi. I didn't change anything. What? I mean, it should be exactly the same as usual. I don't know what to say. I'll keep talking. Let me know if it was better. Because some could have just been that the microphone was a bit far, and now I've brought it closer. Hopefully that's just it, just that. I need to keep talking so you guys can see if it works fine. So yeah, I will be putting some pans into paints. Words. Exactly what I'm supposed to say, right? Some paint into pans. Continuing with the Daniel Smith or Forbidden paint slash brand. And yeah, so I'm progressively taking the paint cakes and the paint blobs from plastic palettes and putting them back into these pans so that I can have all of them in this box here rather than having to go through 9 palettes to find a color. That makes sense? Hope it makes sense. How do you get the paint out of those pans so neatly? I don't remember how I did it, but it's relatively easy to do with Daniel Smith because they tend to dry really dry, at least here where I'm located. So I think I must have used a palette knife and I managed to pop them all out back then. So, hippopotamus bush and pumpkin, is it a bit better? I'm glad you found the rogue color. Did you watch it? Yep. One is a bit distorted to me. Ah. Hold on. Let me. Freaking hate audio. Worst garbage thing in the world. Are you pain in the ass? I don't know if this... Wait. Oh, now it's too loud. Really? Hold on. How is this? Is this better? Hi, Moby Dick. Hello. Fine now? Good, yay. And you know how I fixed it? Just to demonstrate just how much audio is a pain in the butt. I just unplugged and plugged my microphone back again. That's it. Now, I don't remember which one of the colors was the rogue one. It's one of the yellows. I think it might have been this one, as a yellow. It is astonishingly perfect. Oh my gosh, I hate audio so much. The age-old solution, turn it off and back on again. Yeah, I know. There's unfortunately, a very valid reason why IT always suggests to do that first. I mean, they're not wrong. It's just annoying when you've already tried that like 5 times and it didn't solve the issue. And then they're like, did you try turning it off and on? And like, yeah. I also unplugged it and plugged it again and flipped the breaker. Do you have any other questions like that? Okay, sorry. How do I need a few tools? I also have snack. I will try to grab bites of my snack, and if you hear it and it's gross, just let me know and I'll temporarily mute the microphone. I have a filter on that is meant to like cut off all the lower sound level sounds, but I don't know if me eating is picked up or not. I also want to make sure I have tissues nearby. Tissue box. I also grabbed some lip balm because, to be fair, you'd be surprised the amount of people that don't do that when an electronic device doesn't work properly. I would be, I think. Because, in my opinion, it's the easiest, simplest, quickest way to get a reset of the thing you're trying to fix, you know. Alright, I don't remember how I set it up last time. I know I'm gonna need like a few of these. These, okay. So the next color I have in the palettes is Organic Vermilion. I don't know why there are some of these that I don't have the color number, not the pigment, but like the brand's number for that specific paint on my palette. I don't know why. This one is PR 188. So this one, as you can probably guess, is a slice from one of their watercolor sticks. So it makes it really, really easy to pop out of palette. A bit of water. In my dark past, I staffed an IT call center, and my anecdote says it's worth it to ask the "Did you turn it off and on?" question. Hello, baby. We have a baby. We have a baby. I gotta pay the baby tax. Viens-tu, ma fille? Tu viens-tu toute pétille avec moi? Oh, Pelay. Allez, hop. Oui. Oh, ouais. Oh, ouais, on chouine. Oh, ouais. Ouais. Hein? Hein, grosse pipite. Tu veux des amis? She wants friends. Let's say hi. Oh. Do you want to say hi? Ouais. Et une vieille mimite. Une vieille mimite. Et ce coup-ci. Oui. Anecdata, great word. I agree. Even I forgot to reset to solve issues, and guess who's indicated on my team? Tu perds tout ton poil. She's shedding all the fur. Why are you so grumpy? So grumpy. Eh? Very old lady. Limit. Alright. Dirty butt. Qu'est-ce que je fais avec toi, moi? What am I supposed to do with you? She's purring. Oh, baby. Kitty, I'm grumpy because you don't have forbidden water, just forbidden pain. I don't have forbidden water yet. I haven't swatched anything. You gotta come back later. Oui, hein, tu vas tout crisser à terre. Oui. Guillaume, il y a un problème. Il y a un gros problème de tortille. Mais je peux pas faire mon truc, là. Alright. Oh, tu veux pas. Oh, que tu veux pas.
Passe-le moi.
Alright. I've transferred her. She's still gonna get some pets and scritches. Okay, so what did I say? This one was organic vermilion. Right. That's one more done. Yay! Alright. Next one is Mayan Orange. So I was thinking about stuff, because that's kind of what I do a lot. And I got to thinking that it might be fun to do a sort of video series about debunking misconception or thing that are misunderstood about watercolor. Arctic Journals, hello! A bit late, it's mom's shopping day. What did you bring to do a bit of art as she's shopping? So yeah, I was thinking, if you guys happen to think of any kind of thing that you saw or notion that you read or heard about or anything about paint and watercolor mostly, because I'm not very knowledgeable in the other stuff, but I know a few resources and I have a bit of experience and knowledge when it comes to watercolor, so I feel like it would be interesting to tackle some of these topics, like the myth that multi-pigment paints are more likely to create quote-unquote mud than other colors. I'm also going to tackle the video that I was on my own shopping, had to find a jacket. Oh, for winter. Ugh. And yeah, so I was thinking the multi-pigment stuff could be interesting. The few examples I've seen of people, quote-unquote, misunderstanding what series are about when it comes to watercolor paints, and or paint in general, mind you. But and then the other thing, the thing from the other day in the members only live stream, someone found a video and shared it on the Discord, but it was about oh my gosh, how basically the video is about how the way you handle the paint and overhandle the paint might lead you to create mud, quote unquote. Mud would be a thing that I would personally like to debunk, because bleh, freaking hate that stupid idea. I think that would be a very good one. Multi-pigments mud. It would have saved me a bit of money this year to not feel I had to solely focus on single pigments. Yeah. I thought that's something that makes sense because you're introducing more pigments and it'd be a bit harder to predict what the final mix will result into. That's how it is kind of sold as, but it's not true. There's no like empirical evidence to support the idea that any kind of pigment mix is going to give you an outcome that you can't predict when you mix it with something else. The only way that can happen, even then, is if you don't have any pigment info for the color. But even then, there's still a couple of tests you can run yourself to gauge opacity, transparency, the value of the paint, like all sorts of other variables that once you have that knowledge, you will be able to work with that color and predict what kind of mix you're going to get. I mean, it takes a bit more work to predict what's going to happen if you have multiple pigments, but it is doable. It's just a bit more work because you have to account for every single one of them. But ultimately, it really doesn't, it's not a steadfast rule. And I feel like having it, sorry, I keep burping. It's kind of gross. I'm sorry. I just finished eating. What do you want from me? But yeah, so it's just about learning how the color works and color theory and all the characteristics that's available from various pigments. And that's how you can sort of figure out if you're going to get mud or not. But I hate this idea that, as a general rule, multiple pigments equal mud. It might be a shortcut that some people like to use to keep it simple, but it's not true, so I think it's stupid to abide by it, I mean. I personally would love that kind of video. Cool. I would really love to learn from that kind of video. My Fab Holbein paints are mostly multi-pigment colors. Noted, noted. I'm glad. It is still a lot of work to sort of bring together, but it's something that I always get kind of annoyed when I see it, like the notion being repeated, but with no assessment or no work towards verifying if it's actually like that or not. Does that make sense? Meanwhile, I'm sitting here using the leftover from last time on my palette because I don't want to waste paint. Completely fair. But yeah, it's this, it was a video where the lady was explaining that how to say it right. Basically, the video was about how you can handle paint in a way to not create mud. But I don't think that by mud she meant, like, the fact that people use mud is also part of the issue because it is not a very efficient word to convey a meaning of what you actually want to say. Like mud, okay, what do you mean by mud? Do you mean that the mix is brown and it was not your intent? Or is it like more opaque than you wanted? Or like what? It's meaningless in terms of like diagnostic watercolor wise. Doesn't mean anything. And I think that in the case of the video I was watching, for the lady, what she would refer to as mud was colors that are flat and evenly mixed, which in my opinion are not like bleh. So yeah, and from, if we accept that that's sort of the premise of it, most of the video kind of makes sense and is useful. But if you take that experience and assume that it's going to lead you to mix colors that are not muted or not what you expected, it's not really how that works. Also, she had the most nonsensical bit about overmixing paint would damage the particles of the paint, and I went like, wait, no, that's just not true. Not true. The rest of the video you can sort of chalk it up to whatever definition of muddy is used here, but thinking that watercolor paint has particles that will be damaged if you overmix it. No, Have you seen how they make watercolor paints? They grind the particle to such a fine level that it makes for a perfectly smooth color. There's really nothing that your brush can do in terms of damage to any paint in the world of watercolor. Like, it's not gonna happen. Never. And I'm like, how can you get so far in life as a painter with that notion? Muddy color, what does that mean anyway? That's what I'm with you. To me, it means brown and opaque. Yeah, to me, it means you mixed a color that looks like mud, and mud is generally some variant of brown. So you just mixed a brown. The end? I mean, what are we supposed to think of this? What is mud? I wonder if it's perhaps a terminology that comes from a different medium or something. But it's just such a poor descriptive of the issue. Like, what is actually wrong with the color? Did you intend to mix one thing and ended up with a different thing? Is it more opaque than you wanted it to be? Like, what's the actual issue? Because if you can tell me what's the actual issue, I might be able to tell you how to fix it. But if you just tell me, ooh, my color is muddy, I mean, what is that supposed to mean? And apparently, it can mean a bunch of different things for different people. So that's even less useful. Mr. Paulo! Hello! How is everyone doing today? I forgot to ask. Oh my gosh. My manners. Was too busy rambling. There are so many reasons a color might look muddy. Your values are a bit messed up, cross-contamination, faulty paints, yeah, like you say, your values or your hues are messed up. While I understand that the idea of hot or warm and cool color is confusing, because it is, it's still a key element that if you can find a way for your brain to figure it out, it's really going to help you in mixes. If you wanted a vibrant color and got a muted color, that's a matter of the way you mix color now. Not some hidden quality in the paint that when you mix those two, whoop, that happened. It's not chemistry. You don't mix like two translucent liquid and have an explosion, you know. And Paulo's gonna throw stones at me because that's not a thing or whatever, but like, the paints are straightforward. What you see is what you get. So if you have a very baseline level of knowledge of how to get a specific outcome, and you pay attention to the qualities of the paint in front of you, you'll be able to mix whatever you want and get the result you want. My concern with color mixing is if I don't get the color I want from the mix. But that's what I'm saying. Do you wanna extrapolate a bit on that? You use phthalo blue and pearl scarlet to mix a violet. It's gonna be muted. Let me tell you that. You're gonna get the color, but it's not gonna, might not be what you want. That's the thing. There's like two parts in mixing colors. There's knowing the color you want to get, and then knowing what will or what won't get you that color. Some palettes are set up in a way that you might not be able to get the color you want from the colors that are in the palette already. Like, if the palette doesn't have a magenta, I mean, some of the colors are going to be just not accessible to you. That's not a flaw of mixing mud or whatever. It's just a flaw in the very basic hues available to you to mix from. I feel seen now. My lazy butt still prefers red to use convenience mixes over mixing myself. It really depends on what you want to paint, but I am with you. I don't see how there's any issue with convenience mixes. But like any other color, they come with their own particular characteristics that are generally derived from the pigments in the color. As I mean, all of the binders actually in watercolor are translucent or transparent. So it doesn't bring anything to your color, so you can just dismiss the presence of the binder in the paint usually. It's just the pigments that are in there. So if you have a convenience mix that has 4 colors and 3 of them are opaque, well, I mean, you're getting an opaque color. So that's how you got to consider this mix. It could be a single pigment paint with the same characteristics. It would mix in the same way. It's funny you said that 23 because this is pure old scarlet that I'm gonna swatch right now. I remember right, it's a kind of a fire truck red. So if you were to mix that with a blue that's leaning a bit more green, like a phthalo blue green shade, you're gonna get a very muted purple violet color. You're not gonna get a vibrant color, but that's not hidden knowledge. That's just from like thinking about it for a second and knowing that if you have all of these sort of hues in your colors, you're gonna get a specific outcome from it, right? And in those cases, it's a pretty good idea to learn how to use limited color palettes. Like, yes, your purples are your purples are muted. Want to paint something purple? Work around it. Hey, I'm back. Welcome back, Art and Music. Hello. And yeah, there's an artist I really like who does mostly comic books, but I'm gonna try to think of how I can explain this and not having to go through all the context. But basically, it kind of boils down to what we could consider like when you have this notion of a primary triad. It can be 2 things. It can be like, let's just say, the most versatile primary triad that is the ideal triad for you, okay? But it can also be any mix of 3 colors that act as a primary triad. So let's assume that a primary triad is cyan, magenta, and yellow, okay? Well, if you decide that the color that acts as your cyan in this mix is a dark blue like this, so that's your blue, and then your yellow is a mustard color, and then your magenta, you decide to pick a dark red. So yeah, you will not be able to mix a vibrant purple from these colors necessarily, but then the challenge becomes about converting your scene into one that works with the colors you have. If you want to be like accurate to what you see, have the exact same color, then perhaps you're better off starting from a convenience color that matches it pretty well, and then you identify what other color or 2 you can mix into it to get the variance that you need. But if you want to start from a specific selection of colors that is limited, and you want to adapt what you're painting to your palette, that's the gymnastics you got to do in your brain. Does that make sense? I do have a nice mix I made specifically for painting water, Indanthrene Blue and Viridian. Is it a genuine Viridian or Viridian hue? Or PG7, actually. I just use convenience mixes nowadays. Convenience. Sorry, I keep tripping on this word. Because when I make my own mix and I run out, I can... Yeah, that's why they're convenient. Oh, Viridian and Terra Rosa, that's gotta be lovely. Oh, Mountain Blue and Sepia. Is it gray or gray? Depends on if you use the American spelling or the UK spelling, I think. Gotta write down those mixes though. Paper. Of course, the Sorry. Apologies. Fighting with my block of post-its. Because of course the pad on top of the block of post-its is the black paper. What's the other one? Lantern blue and sepia. Awesome. Convenience colors are really good for consistency if you're obsessed with a particular shade. That's the point, right? It depends on the continent. What depends on the continent? Mine was... Oh, and the, yeah, Indanthrone blue and Viridian. Oh, it depends on the continent. The gray and gray, okay. Doop 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 doop. Gray and gray is for some people different colors. Wow, that's not convenient. It's not Hue, I believe it's Van Gogh. Okay. You have beautiful handwriting. Oh, depends on the day, but thanks. Never was happier that Dad can drive so I can watch live and chat. I need to... What's the next one? Perylene Scarlet is the next color here from the plastic palette. I might be wrong, Auntie. Things I've learned in this earth is that color names are unreliable. Lyra! Hello! And yeah, it is very true. Which is why we have pigment codes. We're gonna all start talking in pigment codes. Oh, what a nice PV23 kind of color. Oh yeah, definitely. Though I quite like when it's PV55. Oh yeah, good one, PV55. Gonna make a color named Gray of Grays. A la Holbein just to confuse everyone. Then release Gray of Grays. Favorite pigment go. Why was that censored? Oh no. YouTube is high again, guys. Crap. Oh, there it is. It's like, where's my pen? Where is the pen? Gray of Gaze. That would be an interesting one. You have Gray of Gaze and Gaze of Gray. Oh, sorry. Favorite pigment. Hold on, that's a tough one. Favorite pigment, favorite pigment. Man, that's a tough one. That'd be a nice name too. Oh, Ev, I asked the chat earlier, what is the best way to get rid of beading on your palette? It really depends on how far you're willing to go. What kind of palette is it? Is it a metal palette or a plastic palette? Hold on, I'm gonna mute this just for a second. Okay, I'm back. Favorite pigment, insert propaganda, PG7. Okay, so if it's a plastic palette, there's quite a few things you can do. Magic eraser is one of them, because what you want to do, and what the magic eraser is going to do, is do some sort of micro abrasion of the surface. If you keep using the palette, it's probably going to get there anyway. Sometimes it's worth it to give them a good wash with a dish soap, just to make sure that there's not any kind of residue on the palette. I've heard people have successful results with you put toothpaste, you rub the toothpaste, and then you remove it. It's basically the same. It's going to do a very fine level of abrasion of your plastic. Sometimes running a vinyl eraser over it, just, you know, a good eraser, white eraser, you just rub it all over, but it can do something a bit weird to the surface. I don't have a magic eraser, I'll have to buy one. It's a melamine sponge, basically. It's sold in with the cleaning products. Whatever you do, try it on a very small area of the palette first. You try it like the whole process. So you put it on, whatever, remove it, and then try to paint on it just to see if it works for you. If the texture is okay afterwards, if the paint works the way you wanted it to. But yeah, if you try the toothpaste, try it on a corner, like a small area first. Ooh, anthraquinoid scarlet. Yippee-doo! I love this pigment. Though it is not my favorite version of this pigment. I think Core still has the best anthraquinoid scarlet. Scarlet. Okay, so this one is a blob instead of a pancake, but it's so dry. It's remarkable just how dry Daniel Smith paints are. I bought a new sketchbook. The question is what to draw in it. Do you have a very vague sort of thing you want to draw? Like, oh, I want to draw landscapes, or I want to draw fruits, or I don't know. you have a lot of forbidden paint. I do. But like I was saying, what I have is what you see. So I don't have the tubes that go with these. I just have the blobs. Because at some point I was like, they were more affordable. They were not weird. And I had a fair collection of them. But I got rid of it. In a good way. I didn't just bin it. Are you kidding me? Well, hey! Well. If it isn't, yo. Questions of the century right there. Draw your art supplies. It's like, you can technically draw anything. Alright. If it isn't Ev. P-roll red is the next one. It is PR254. Oops. Cat hair. I've learned my lesson with the rogue paint from last week. Gotta keep your fingers on these. Look how like perfectly pan shaped this thing is. It's kind of remarkable. It's a perfect square of solid paint. Oh. Does anybody else hesitate to squeeze your paint into half pans because you can bear to see your precious tube dented? It is a bit annoying, I agree. But at the same time, that's what it's for. Right? I am more bothered when it is like a paint tube. You know, like how the special editions Holbein paints made with Yuko Higuchi artwork on the labels. Those bother me. Because the whole purpose of a tube is to squish it. And it's gonna get stained and gross and whatever. But then there's such cute little drawings on the labels. And the labels are not easy to remove. So what am I supposed to do? I don't know. That bothers me. But otherwise, there's something really satisfying to seeing a tube that's completely crinkled and empty too. There's something to that. So maybe it's just about shifting. I got a stream on mute because I'm on a phone call, but one thing I've been doing in new sketchbooks is just a variegated wash in colors that match complement. Oh, that's lovely. I've looked at that Van Gogh Viridian over. It's PG7. Yep. Good to know. Thank you for looking it up, Arctic Journals. I have 3 watercolor sketchbooks I'm working on, one for watercolor mixes, one for watercolor playing, and lastly for serious illustration. That's a really good method, and it's something that sometimes people are not necessarily willing to do, but there is something that will work for a lot of people to have like separate intents for each book, so that when you grab your sketchbook and you want to do some mixes, you don't refrain from doing so because it is the serious illustration sketchbook. Like, if you know you have like a a purpose for each of them, it's just like really easy to just grab one and get to it. You don't have to worry about, oh no, how is the whole thing gonna look like when I'm done? What if I like leaf through it and then one page is whatever and then the other page is a completed illustration that I like, and then I have another page of just the swatches and mixes. You know, I'm an animal when it comes to my art supply. Now that's a picture. This one is Perylene Red. There's quite a few Perylene something colors in here. Perylene Scarlet, Perylene Red, there's probably a Perylene Maroon somewhere. We have Perylene Violet and then Perylene Green as well, in some cases. This one is PR178. I bought my first jar of Mod Podge. I feel like I had officially entered the art world. What do you plan on Mod Podging? Man, Mud Podge takes me back. Yeah, that's normal art and music, but hey, that's what the paint is for. But also think how pretty the full pans are gonna look. The full pans are gonna look nice. Depending on the paint that's in a tube, sometimes it's worth it to not have it separate or oxidize weirdly, or like dry paint is a much more stable paint than paint that's in a tube. It's Perylene Red. In my opinion, the Perylene Maroon from Winsor and Newton is the prettiest one for that pigment, especially when it's wet. Unfortunately, it has a bit of a drying shift, so as it dries, it kind of gets a bit more muted, but oh my gosh, wet, it is such a nice color. I've been dying to try Perylene Violet. What's your favorite brand of that color? Ooh, I don't know if I have one for Violet. I think a lot of brands have it, but just off the top of my head, it's not a color that I use often. It is very pretty, but yeah, I don't have a clear like favorite. It's actually a smart idea. I bought two of them so I could use them both for different things. Yeah. And you know, to have sometimes you can have two sketchbooks too. One that is for just experimentation or exercises. If you like to do a lot of line exercises to improve like the muscle of drawing, there's a lot of exercises that are good for that, but they're kind of mindless a bit. So sometimes it feels silly to put that in your serious quote-unquote sketchbook, but you can also go to the dollar store, get any kind of sketchbook, and just use that. And that's the sketchbook for like muscle exercises. And then you have another sketchbook, like if you really want to learn a specific style, well, you can keep all your copies and studies in that sketchbook. It really depends on how your brain likes to work, but I don't think anyone should feel bad about having a bajillion sketchbooks for different purposes if it helps them do art in the end. Next color is quinacridone red. It is a PV19 pigment, one of many. I need to get a storage cabinet specifically for paint pans because so many of them don't dry in Scotland. Or haven't yet. It's been 3 months since I panned them. Oh, really? What do you put them in at the moment? So I have baking trays of paint pans lying on them, and I think the fact that they're in Ziploc bags is probably not contributing to the situation. The Perylene drying shift is so heartbreaking sometimes. Oh, always. Always a lot of heartbreak from that one. Some brands have honey in them, and some of those just don't dry at all. Yep, that's why Daniel Smith is so dry. It's because technically they say they only have the binder in there. They don't add oxgall. They don't add any kind of humectant like honey. So it's basically gum arabic, water, and pigment, which works decent for most pigments, but the drier pigments tend to be a bit annoying, like the Mayan red here. You can see. Oh, you cannot see. Hold on. I don't know. So yeah. So this one, whether it's in a pan, whether it's in a palette, it's always gonna detach from whatever surface you have it on, because it gets that dry. I thought everybody did that because I just did it because of a YouTuber, not sure whom though. Yeah, I forgot I got them for practice. Some of my Sennelier paints are always sticky. Yeah, because it's honey-based paint, so it's always going to attract water to it. Oh, that's a pretty one, I think. A very pretty PV19. Oh man, I still haven't found my favorite pigment. I don't think I have one. I think it's a very what's the word I'm looking for? Very changing thing. Because sometimes I will get a fixation on a specific pigment, but not like in a way like I want to explore it more, not necessarily because it's a favorite or something. Sennelier is weird. My Caput Mortem in Royal Blue and Gold Ochre and Rose Madder Lake have dried and cracked. And my Blue Sennelier and Phthalo are still sticky. It's pigment. Some of these pigments, like they don't all react to being wet in the same way. And technically the pigment itself doesn't all dry in the same way either. So even if a company uses the same formula for their binder for all the colors, you're not going to get the exact same result from every single pigment that they have. I think Sennelier has less honey in them than M. Graham. Yeah. The thing with Sennelier, though, is that you have two options. If you need Sennelier paint that is going to stay very well behaved and that is going to stay put, you can get their pans. Because it is extruded paint, it's a slightly different formula, and even if you wet it and let it dry, it's never gonna be as sticky as the tube paint. If you get the tube paint from Sennelier and you want to pan that, that's gonna stay sticky for a really long time. And in that aspect, I think the M. Graham tubes and the Sennelier tubes are quite similar. But the pans, the Cindy pans, and M. Graham doesn't have any pans. That's starkly different. They are dust catchers. Yeah. I did such a big, badly written blurb on this one. Oh well. It is anthraquinoid red PR 177. I've heard M. Graham is even stickier than Sennelier, but the paint is so expensive in Germany, so I never tried for myself. You don't have to. Not because it's good or bad, just because if it's expensive and something is out of your budget, there are so many more affordable, more local, and just as good paints available to you. And also, if you don't really like sticky paints, there's definitely a lot of other brands that you can try. If you're in Germany and you don't like sticky paints, I think that Schminke is going to be perfect for you, you know? Like, yeah, sure, Forbidden Brand is also very dry, but it's going to be super expensive in Europe. But you can get Schminke for a much better price, so go for that. If you prefer more sticky, more wet paints, maybe Roman Schmal is more affordable for you. It is not super duper sticky, but it's still a bit softer than Schminke paints are. Or even then, Rosa Gallery. They're quite sticky. They're quite soft. So that's an option too. Nowadays, I feel it's really not worth the expense to get a specific brand that is super pricey because it's imported. Almost everyone has access to something that is a bit closer, a bit more local, and often a whole lot more affordable too. Would that be worth a debunking video? I'm not exactly sure how I would go about it, but I see it often. And I understand it. Like, I get it. We want to try all the paints. That's part of what's fun of painting. But at the same time, nowadays we're so fortunate that we have so many options. Anthraquinoid, yes, arachnoid. Oh man, I would love to invent a quote unquote arachnoid color. It is a pretty color. I mean, have we seen a color that was not pretty? All the colors are pretty. What? What? The next and last one for this palette is Mayan Red. No, no, it has a pigment code, sorry. No number for it, I mean. Like the brand number. I just watched your Indenthrine Blue PG7 mix. That is gorgeous. It's gotta be a very beautiful deep green color. I'm excited to try it. Always excited to try all the colors. Ugh. Schminke is my main brand, but I haven't bought any in years. Just let me look it up. This one I don't even have to do any work. It just won't stay put. So it's really easy to just grab this and put it in this pan, and then it's going to be a loose color in a pan instead of a loose color in a palette. I will not fall in that trap. I'm not giving my controversial opinions on purples. It's very difficult to assess colors without any context, I feel. Because I'm of the opinion that any color that you don't have in a specific context is pretty. When it's problematic when it's in context and clashes with something else, or just doesn't like harmonize with the other colors, or you know, like, oh, it's a good color for a wall, but I wouldn't want to wear clothing of that color, you know, that kind of stuff. But in a void, like if you take any or every single color on its own, there's really nothing much to say or nothing wrong about it. It's just a color. And we are done with this little palette. I'm gonna move from... I'm gonna be moving to number 3. There we go. Cheapest is 5.20 euros for a half pan. I have no idea how much that converts to. Oh shoot. Oh, that one's gotta be the main violet, of course. If there's a roaming color in there, it's gotta be a main color. Okay, cookie break. Alright, sorry. It's very hard to stream and have those cookies in my face. I just want to eat them. Holbein became my fave brand mainly because of Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. Not a reason, but that's what it is. I mean, it probably helps that it's somewhat affordable to you as well. Like, if it was a brand of paint that is too expensive or impossible to find, you would have gone to some other brand, right? Now I want cookies. Cookies. Okay, so the first one here is Permanent Alizarin Crimson. This one is a mix of 3 pigments to make it quote-unquote permanent. Kind of weird because, okay, so it has PR177, PV19, and PR149. And I don't know for PR149, but I think PR177 is not the most light-fast of colors. So they say permanent alizarin crimson, but that's on a good day. Schmincke is my favorite brand right now, but we'll see if Winsor & Newton takes over. I think you can combine both, depending on your criteria. If budget is a concern, then go with the most affordable one. But if not, there are really good colors within both ranges that you can sort of combine to get a very optimal palette. They're biscottis that I made myself because it is baking season. Is all that info gonna fit in my little square? Okay, we did it. And this one is another slice of a stick, watercolor stick. It's always baking season. Not here. I can't bake in the summer, Paolo. It's just too hot. Winsor Newton is also great. I like to mix brands because sometimes another brand has a better version of some colors, and I completely agree. That is why I would also mix some brands. It is difficult on the brain, but like Winsor Newton offer the best PY159, and their Perylene Maroon is gorgeous, and their Green Gold is also very beautiful. And they have a brilliant cerulean. The granulating blues are beautiful. You feel attacked? No, don't feel attacked. I mean, you like the heat and you can bake in the heat, so that's a credit to you. I just can't. If I have to boot up the oven when it's 30 degrees Celsius here, I'm just gonna like combust. Nope, brands have to stay in their own palettes if at all possible. Minka took an eternity to get buff titanium into their product line, and it was a special edition. I don't know if they will make it part of the regular line. I hope so. People say they dry hard. Yeah, Winsor Newton dry really hard as well. They also have this stupid notion that like if you want to work from dry paint, then you should get their pans, and you shouldn't get the tubes and then pour the paint and let it dry. And to this day, I have no idea why they stick to this one. Like guys, it's nonsense. Stop it. Some of your paints are much better behaved being re-wet from tube than from a pan, so quiet. Almost all my palettes have some Da Vinci Presents because that's the brand I have the most colors in. And they have such a beautiful range of colors too. Does Schminke have buff titanium on their regular line? As far as I know, not yet. Not as far as I know, yeah. I think that's the one. Got on YouTube last week, it says special edition on it, yeah. Why did it flag gotcha? I don't know what's up with YouTube's automatic censorship flag thingy, but it is so freaking awful. It's useless. What was the thing that it flagged last week that we tried to figure out what it was and we couldn't even find it? Was it about the Reese's peanut butter cups or something? The two colors I can think of do dry hard, but re-wet nicely. I mean, it will dry hard, of course. Like Schminka dries pretty hard too, but you want it to first of all be re-wettable, and then still kind of hold on to the palette, please. You got censored, Paolo. It flagged your gotcha. Don't ask me why. Where I live, they dry hard-ish, but re-wet nicely. Winsor & Newton. Kind of the same here too. They have colors that I really hate. I don't know why, but whether it's Cutman or even the professional range, their permanent sap green just bothers me. I don't like it. It isn't. It just. I will use it if I have to. I can work with it, but if I have to choose a sap green, it's not going to be that one. I find the value way too weak, and you can never really get a good deep green with it unless you mix it with something else. I remembered the DS botched. Oh yeah, the original plastic palettes were such a terrible. If you are not aware of what they were at the initial release, they had these 12 color sets, but you could also get 6 colors and a bunch of empty pans around it, I think. Or was it 4 colors? But yeah, let's say you get 12 colors? What about the 24 color set? But anyway, they were a plastic palette that basically was the exact size of the pans. Like what, 4x3 pans, so 12, let's just say. And they were cased perfectly in the bottom of the palette, so a relatively small palette. And then the only mixing area that you had was the lid, the plastic lid. Which is such a terrible idea. It's so bad. And everybody was like, okay. I mean, it has so many fans and sycophants and whatever, so it did okay. Like, I'm pretty sure people bought it regardless, but they for sure mentioned that the palette, you can still find them today. The palettes were very underwhelming on their own. So eventually they just got the regular metal tins, black with the branding on top in white. Totally overrated. Aw. Which sap green is too weak? For me, it's the Winsor & Newton one. I don't like using it. It's just not what I want from a sap green. I had some Winsor & Newton colors I was okay, but not overly impressed with. But on further acquaintance, I've come to enjoy some. Oh, same. They have, like, colors you can't miss within the range. Hey, have a good weekend, Art and Music. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great weekend again. Am I repeating myself and rambling? I would never. Okay, what am I doing? Carmine. PR 176. I really like their genuine rose madder. I have yet to try this one, which is way pinker than every other brand's genuine rose madder. Not sure if there are some other ingredients in it, but it sure is pretty. I wonder if I've tried any actual, like, genuine rose madder. Holbein has a rose madder color, but it's not a genuine one. It is, I mean, I don't know. It is PR83, but it's kind of a fugitive pigment, but I don't know if that's genuine rose madder or not. But it is lovely. It is really lovely. Why can I fit this one? Now my fingers are wet because I dropped my fingers in the wet paint, in the wet water. I should stop talking, I think. Ah! Yeah, I think the rose madder is genuine. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. One is PR83 and one is NR9, which is natural red 9. Ginger! Hello! Ginger is in the house. That's beautiful. What a beautiful, beautiful color. Genuine rose madder is NR9 labeled. And I guess the hue is the PR83. Speaking of, next color is Rose Madder Permanent. I finished my errands early for once. Huzzah! I can't catch more than the last 3 minutes. How are the kitties doing if you feel like sharing? Okay, this one is 3 pigments. PR, oops, 209, P19, PR 202. So a pinkish red, a pink, and a purpley pink. So many reds. Are you going to use all of them? I just can't get much use out of reds somehow. I mean, I don't know. This is entirely way too many colors for a single palette. It's just a way for me to store and reference these. If I were to put a palette together with these paints, I would only pick some of them. And oftentimes my selection is either for versatility, so it's going to be like a sort of a split primary with some earth tones, or if I have a specific subject or goal in mind or color that I want to paint with, then the selection is going to be built around that specific color. Does that make sense? Hope it does. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to use all of these. Like, it's unless you're going for something where you paint each element with its own quote-unquote convenience color, this is just not practical. I am coming to appreciate Power 176. It is a very interesting, although a bit muted, kind of slightly muted magenta color, somewhat. Doesn't matter, permanent. PR209, PV19, and apropos of nothing, has anyone here ever tried Zetchi? I haven't. Kitties are doing good. Papaya is a little more curious than Didi would like, but they are coexisting well. Didi is like, yeah, this is to go away, and Papaya is like, what are we hissing? Not only is she like the younger kiddo in the situation, but she's also the orange cat. So you get an extra dose of what are we hissing at here. And back to Rose Matter. Schminke Naturals also has MR9 in it. And it's very similar to the Michael Harding one. Ooh, good to know. It feels very much like the dopey baby sister who doesn't fully grasp personal space, always wants to do what the older sister is doing, though she's a bit more respectful of personal space, to be fair. Okay. And also the older sister is like introverted and already set in her ways. Hey, next color is Opera Pink. I'll skip the color number on this one because it's a bit unclear what I wrote. So let's just not put it there. Opera Pink. PR122, which is sort of the standard pigment for this one, and then a fluorescent dye to give it its neon glow. I didn't mean in one painting, but in general. I have a big palette and realize I always tend to use like the same 10 colors. Sometimes I switch it up a bit, but to use up all my paints. It really depends. Like I said, if I sometimes I have a, let's say I'm painting a southern beach kind of scene, like, you know, those very aqua kind of beach colors with the light sand and all of that. I might, if I know I'm going to do more than one, or even if I'm going to do just one, I might cater my selection of color around that. So I'm going to get a cobalt teal, perhaps another color like another blue, so I can bring in some variations, but also do the sky, and then probably buff titanium, and then something, and then perhaps a couple of others that I feel are versatile colors to add in there. But chances are I'm not gonna put in there, I don't know, it really depends on the scene, but there are some colors that, like a bright yellow, I might not see a need for a bright yellow in that setup, so my selection of colors is gonna be different. And if I were to paint a winter scene here in Canada, well, I would use different other colors, and I would have no use for cobalt teal in that situation. So I will, you know, that's how I see a use for these very big palette, is depending on what you want to paint, what's your subject, you can sort of grab what you need from it. You could probably also mix it, but sometimes it's just easier to grab colors that work for your subject rather than mix everything all the time, especially if you are doing a series of illustration in the same setting. Like we said earlier, you can mix the color you need every time, but you could also grab a convenience one that works and save you that hassle. Woo! It is not the brightest of all the opera pink colors, but it is very bright. The brightest one for me is the one from Magello Mission Gold. It is the most neon I've seen. Probably the least light fast as a result of that. And opposite of that, the one that is the least neon is Sennelier's, and it's probably a bit more light fast because the neon dye is gonna fade, but whatever PR122 pigment is left is what's gonna stay on the paper. So if your opera has a higher ratio of the actual pigment rather than the dye, it's gonna stick there for a bit. It's not gonna be neon, but it's gonna be pink at the very least. Yes, Big Sis wants some peace and quiet, and Papaya is like, ooh, bouncy balls, chaos and hijinks and oh, she's adorable. Papaya is allowed to get closer if I am between them, so often all three of us end up on the couch together. Oh, that's sweet. That's adorable. I get that most of my colors are greens and browns, and some pigments have properties the mix just doesn't have. Yeah, that too. If you want a granulating color versus a non-granulating color, that's a big thing too. Carmine is the first one here. The next color is one of my favorite pigments. It is their quinacridone pink, which is PV42. I want to have a cat again, but my daughter is too small for that. Aw. How old is your kiddo? You don't have to be precise with it. You can give a ballpark if you are more comfortable with that, or you can just not share. That's fine too. Because sometimes it's possible to have a young kid and a cat. Some cats are very good with young kids, but it's might be a bit difficult to figure out. So the reason why I like PV42 so much is that it is a color similar to a pink PV19, but it is much easier to have consistency with it. Because if you get PV42, it's generally always going to be the same hue. Whereas if you buy a color that's just labeled PV19, you're not quite sure what you're going to get, unless you can see it beforehand or swatch it beforehand. So if you need a very reliable kind of magenta color, it's perhaps a good idea to keep in mind that PV42 one. It's not made by a lot of brands. Just off the top of my head, I know that, well, of course, Daniel Smith has it, and Schminke has it. And I think maybe Romanchemont has it, but I'm not sure. It shouldn't be discontinued. I think it's still being produced. It's just not produced by a lot of companies, as far as paints go. Cats can be great with kids, especially if you adopt a senior cat. They often are indifferent to kiddo and just want to bask in the sun like the little gods they are. She's about to... Oh, she's tiny. Cat of my parents is really patient with her, but getting a new cat into a family with such a small child is a lot of stress for an animal. It really depends on the animal, truly. If it's something that you really want to make work, it's perhaps a good idea to just keep an eye on the local shelters. Sometimes they have like older cats that are available for adoption, and they will mention that like the cat is really good with kids, or like a very patient older cat. that is, you know, great with humans but not so great with other pets or something like that. There's all sorts of like behaviors that you can see. And yeah, an older cat is probably easier to manage. Not senior cat, but adult, like outside the period of time where they're still all wild. If that makes any sense. I'm not making any sense. Queen Rose is our next one, and guess what? It is another PV19, so that's our second PV19. What was the name of the other one? Oh, Queen Red, no, Queen Pink, Queen Rose. What else? What else? Queen Blush, Queen Acridone, trying to think of other words for pink, and I'm I would have said it in French, but it's rose, so it's basically like rose. It's the same spelling, even if it's not exactly the same meaning. Shelters know how to match all sizes of families to cats, including families with little ones. I would say don't be afraid to give it a try if you are ready for the commitment. I agree. I see it all the time. Like, I follow perhaps too many shelters, like on Instagram. And yeah, all the time, like whether it's our local SPCA or just a little shelter, they very often have animals that are like, they say like, oh, the Smokey is looking for his forever home and he needs a place that has kids for his level of energy, or he needs a place where there are no other pets because he doesn't get along with pets, but he gets along fine with humans and little kids. Seriously, there's all sorts of temperaments, if that's a word, for pets. But it's also fine if you don't feel ready for one. That's not... That's not really an issue to wait either. Up next, guess what? Quinacridone Lilac. Oh, and we have Quinacridone Magenta after. And Quinacridone Fuchsia later. And Quinacridone Violet too. Any other one? Do you... No? All done? 1 million Quinacridone colors later. Sometimes that kind of stuff makes me want to go extra and like create some confusing color names for stuff. Like Quinacridone Green. Have it be a mix of a... I mean, it would be difficult now, but since we don't really have a Quinacridone Yellow anymore, but you know, like a Quinacridone... yeah, I don't know. But a color that you don't associate with Quinacridone. Or like Phthalo Pink. What? I think I will wait until I have work again and then start looking. I'll take the kids with me. That's a really good idea. You know, when they say that the cats find their humans, there's a lot of truth to that. So if you, let's say, take the kids to the shelter and just watch how the cats behave, and there might be like a cat that automatically knows that you are their family. Daniel Smith has so many quins, it's quintastic. I always jived with the Quin Rose and then really didn't need any of the other, to be honest. Don't they have a like a set that's just their quinacridone colors? I think they do. There we go. Slowly sort of creeping into the more purpley pinks before getting into the straight up purples. So, yeah, Quin Pink, then Quin Rose. Why is this one quinacridone lilac? It's not particularly lilac, isn't it? Perhaps if lilacs were pinks, were pink, but i.e. the cat distribution system, exactly. Daniel Smith has such a variety of colors. I used to order with a bunch of others so we could share the tubes. That's a really good idea. I have no idea if they have a Quin set. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure I saw it. Yeah, that's how my parents got theirs. He's such a good boy. Aww. Aww. I believe M. Graham is a set of Quins with no Quin magenta. Do they even have a Quin magenta, though, in their regular range? I'm not sure they do. I try to swap out whenever I get a pan that is a bit too stained green to my tastes. I try to swap it out for one that is less green, and I'm gonna keep the green pans for when I get to the green colors. These have been washed and everything, but just to, you know, make sure. And now we are at Quin Magenta. Wait, that is Quin Lilac. Everything I know is a lie. It's not. They ran out of pink coded words to use. Like, even if you dilute it, that's not very lilac as far as colors go. I checked with the magic of Google M. Graham as a good. Okay. But they didn't put it in the. Whee! That almost ended up in my hot chocolate. Perhaps I should be more careful. I mean, it's not a hot chocolate anymore, it's a cold chocolate, but you know what I mean. I don't think any pink. I don't see any pink. I should perhaps drink it. Hold on. Alright, I'm back. I need to go now. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice weekend as well, Firecloud. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry. What am I doing? Queen Maj. How many queens in a row is that? 1, 2, 3. Oh, indeed, it is 4. Right. And that's it. I think I'm gonna stop it here for today. It's almost the end, but I want to run a poll for next week. So just give me 1 second. So there it is. A poll. All right. Right. I've put a poll in the chat to sort of figure out what's gonna be in the next stream. I can either keep swatching these. I still have quite a lot of color. I don't have this full sheet, but almost this sheet is gonna be full of swatches when I'm done. So there's still a lot to go through, and I'm at palette like halfway through palette 3 of 9. They're not all full, but they all have about the same number of colors in them, so. So far, it is 100% more forbidden paint swatching, but I wonder if it's how many people have voted. Oh, 5 votes. Okay. I was like, if there's only 1 person, that's perhaps not very representative, but 5% is really substantial. So I'm gonna continue with this next week, I guess. I'll try to remember where I put it this time. Seems like the shenanigans shall continue indeed. I gotta say, it's quite interesting to see all the colors together like this. I'm probably gonna scan or photograph and share this swatch sheet and try to find a way to share the info with it. Because I think that's perhaps an interesting resource. Again, keep in mind that they look much brighter when I look at the stream than in real life, but if I manage to take a photo, I'll try to make it match as best I can. It's always a nice way to talk about pigments, even if they are cursed paint. It's a shame, isn't it? Because the paints themselves, they're really good quality. But they make it so difficult to use them if you're unable to separate like the company from the paint, basically. If they were perhaps a quote-unquote nicer company, not the best word to describe it, but you know what I mean, I would find a way to save up and buy their overly expensive paints because they are nice paints. They work really well, but I find it really difficult to you know, it really has to be something that I cannot have any other way. But even then, like it's extra. There you go, Ginger said it. They certainly don't make it easy to support them despite their high quality products. That's very nicely put. I guess that's my cue to take a break. Because my brain is scrambled. So next week we're gonna keep with these. I know I have this one. Sorry, just a moment of awareness. I know I have this one somewhere. I need to dig it up to add it. But we'll be continuing with these. Quite a few quinacridons still to go. Purples, and then we're gonna switch to the 4th palette. And I don't know what's in it, but it's probably gonna be more purples and slowly going into the blues. I think it would be fun. So again, thank you so much, guys, for being here today. It's always a lot of fun to hang out with you guys on the Saturdays. I hope you had a fun time, and I hope you will have a great weekend. And until next time, take cake. And yeah, have a great weekend. Bye-bye. The only votes some of us have are in our wallets. Oh no, 23, you're back for the end. And yeah, the fun continues throughout the week on Discord, as Ginger says. There's a link in the chat, there's a link in the description if you want to hop on the Discord server. And it's free, it's fun, and it's always a great time. So, thank you so much again, guys. Take cake. See you next time.